Hello, dear friends. Socrates said that the greatest blessing comes to us through madness, when it is sent as a gift from the gods. Opinion piece. Divine madness. Skinner saints. Drunken love. Crazy wisdom. Mystical ecstasy. Blessed madness. Prophetic frenzy. Let's start. We all know that there are certain mystics and artists who go crazy and become divinely mad, blessed and endearing in the good sense of the word. The most famous case is that of Dali, but Shiva started dancing when he discovered that he had been looking for while shouting, I am me, I am me, I am me, crying with joy because he had discovered his divinity. The Sufi Al-Halaj was also famous when he shouted, I am God, and was accused of blasphemy. He died blessing his executioners because they were also God, but they didn't know it. I also remember Saint Simeon the Estylite, about whom Buñuel made a film, who spent his life on top of a column, or the Greek martyr Saint Carlampius, patron saint of drunks and the lame, or the flying saint Saint Joseph of Cupertino, patron saint of students who levitated when he prayed, so they had to tie him to the church pew. He is the central character in Edward Dmytryev's film The Reluctant Saint in 1962. Spain. In Spain, there is a legend of the procession of drunks that are held parallel to those of Holy Week. Famous is Saint Genarin, the drunkard saint of Leon, a scoundrel who loved brandy, brothels, and social gatherings. His procession has been declared a cultural asset, like that of La Macarena in Seville. At each stop, the crowd drinks a glass of brandy as it moves forward under the footsteps of a drunken man clutching a bottle. Behind him follows Death and La Moncha, a prostitute who was so impressed by him that she left the trade. It was a miracle of redemption, but all kinds of miracles are attributed to him. Henry is credited with all possible vices: a drunkard fond of brandy, a whoremonger, a trickster, and a swindler, and with a tireless body from partying, and also a man capable of performing miracles after death, such as the promotion of the cultural team to the first division, a real Skinner saint for his followers. Tibet. Another blessed madman was Drukpa Kurli, much venerated in Bhutan. He was a Buddhist monk of the Mahamudra tradition, known as an eccentric and a poet. He is counted among the divine madmen of Tibetan Buddhism. The Divine Madness of Drukpa Kurli is a work that narrates the adventures and teachings of a prominent Buddhist yogi who lived in Tibet between 1455 and 1570. After transcending the boundaries of traditional schools, Cowley became a universal mystic, and his figure has inspired an extensive network of stories and legends that portray him as a divine madman. Examples of his eccentric customs include urinating on sacred tapestry or tanka, preaching naked, and offering his testicles as an offering to another lama. It was also said that he wouldn't offer to help anyone unless he was first offered a bottle of wine and a beautiful woman. In some Buddhist literature, the phrase mad wisdom is associated with the teaching methods of Chongyan Trungpa, a philosophy that combines exceptional vision and impressive magical power with an extravagant disregard for conventional behavior. In his book Crazy Wisdom about Padmasambhava, Trungpa describes the phenomenon as a process of investigation and abandonment of any hope of an answer. Definition: divine madness, also known as crazy wisdom, refers to unconventional, outrageous, unexpected, or unpredictable behavior linked to spiritual activities. Examples of divine madness can be found in Buddhism, Christianity, Hellenism, Hinduism, Islam, Judaism, and shamanism. Divine madness is present in various cultures and spiritual traditions. Plato described it as superior to human derived sanity. Christianity interpreted it as a divine rapture or liberation of the soul. It also appears in mythologies and lives of saints and teachers in Hinduism. Buddhism relates it to overcoming spiritual materialism. In a state of religious ecstasy or total absorption in the divine, not a common mental illness which manifests as behaviors that may seem crazy or irrational to society, but serve as a spiritual purpose. They may include behavior that is outrageous, unpredictable, or defies social norms. According to Mircea Eliade, divine madness is part of shamanism, a state that a psychologist would diagnose as a mental illness. However, Eliade claims this would be a misdiagnosis because a shaman is in control of the mystical state rather than being controlled by a psychotic state. A shaman enters a trance state with rituals such as music and dance, and then comes out of it whenever he wants. Mental illness lacks these characteristics. Examples: the Zen poet Han Shan, 19th century, manifested divine madness, and when people asked him about Zen, he would just laugh hysterically. The Zen master Ikkyu, 15th century, used to run around his town with a human skeleton, spreading the message of the impermanence of life. Similar forms of abnormal social behavior and holy madness are found in the story of Christian Saint Isadora and the famous Sufi Mullah Nasruddin, who rode his donkey backwards. I have laughed a lot at his stories because he has an extraordinary sense of humor. Socrates argues that madness is not necessarily evil, stating that the greatest of blessings come come to us through madness, when it is sent as a gift from the gods. Socrates describes four types of divine madness: prophetic frenzy of the oracle of Delphi and the priestesses of Dodona, which are the gift of Apollo, the mystical revelations and initiations, which provide a way of liberation for those in need, which are the gift of Dionysus, the poetic inspiration, which is the gift of the masses, and the madness of lovers, which is the gift of Eros and Aphrodite. Christianity. Saint Simeon in the 6th century simulated madness when he found a dead dog, tied a rope to the corpse's leg, and dragged it through the town, outraged the people. For Simeon, the dead dog represented a kind of baggage that people carry in their spiritual life. He would enter the local church and throw nuts at the congregation during the liturgy and denounce hypocrisy in worldly acts and prayers. In the early Christians appreciated madness and were called madmen by non-Christians. To them, it was glossalia or the language of angels. Christian teachings were blasphemous madness in their time. Religious madness of the ecstasy kind was interpreted as good by early Christians in the Platonic sense. In the Renaissance era, charismatic madness regained interest in the popular imagination. It was interpreted as divine ecstasy, an escape from the restrictions of society, a frenzy for the freedom of the soul. In the 20th century, Pentecostalism has encouraged the practice of divine madness among its followers as manifestation of the Holy Spirit, a phenomenon called charisma or spiritual gifts. Its followers believe that there is a tradition in Christian spirituality where saints such as Augustine had similar experiences of hallucinations and madness. Islam. In some areas of Pakistan, the behavior of eccentric fakirs dedicated to mystical devotionalism is considered mad sainthood. In Somalia, Mohammed Abdul Hassan's eccentric behavior and methods led some colonial era writers to call him the mad priest of Allah. In the West African version of Sufism, examples of mad saints are part of Maraboutism, where a Marabout's crazy and idiotic behavior was compared to mental illness and considered a form of divine madness and sainthood. Economy. OPEC cuts oil production in August. Oil falls below $70 to pre-Ukraine war lows. European Union loses economic advantages due to rejection of Russian fuel. Fed rate cuts pushing big banks on Wall Street. China's bankers are ashamed of dedicating themselves to this discredited profession. The business of living longer is in good health in Switzerland. Gold mining needs bigger nuggets. According to Gold Telegraph, things happen slowly and appear suddenly. Gold, the moral constant, always takes center stage in monetary resets. It is at the heart of everything. Saudi Arabia's decision to settle oil transactions in yuan instead of dollars marks a radical change. Elon Musk wants that the dollar is heading for a $36 trillion disaster and that he will soon be the world's first trillionaire, according to Sorjafal. According to Elon Musk, the first spaceships to Mars will launch in 2 years. There will be no crew to check the reliability or a damage-free landing on Mars. If the landings go well, the first named flights to Mars will take place within 4 years. From there, the flight rate will grow exponentially with the goal of building a self-sufficient city in about 20 years. According to Judy Binton, the global financial system is undergoing a great reset. Basel III requirements are forcing a shift from fiat currencies to gold-backed assets. The old financial system is crumbling as rare earth minerals are tokenized assets come to the fore. And tokenized assets. Americas. Millei's tax amnesty faces hundreds of millions of hidden dollars. El Salvador proposes cryptocurrency trading with the BRICS in order to reduce dependence on the dollar and improve economic cooperation. Brazil breaks its export record in 2024. Draft in Brazil drives up the price of orange juice. The UN Human Rights Council urges the Venezuelan government to end the wave of repression against its opponents. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.